Hi folks, welcome to the Prepared Homestead. This is Travis. Thank you all for stopping by to watch. Very busy day today, but very productive. Well, I'm not going to give you really any details. If you want to know, you need to go over to my locals channel. I talked about it over there, but basically I've been sitting and talking with someone for several hours. Very good conversation. And well, if you want to know what we talked about, you'll have to go over to locals. Which I think that was a pretty good video that I've made over there. Anyways, yeah, some crazy stuff. For those of you that are about my age and older, okay, I'm 46. So if you're about my age and older, you should remember all too well the Cold War, all right? And so if you grew up during the Cold War and you remember the Cold War in any way, shape, or form, some of you were active service during that time. This one will probably catch your eye and mean a little something more to you than maybe the younger kids. Russia, this has been talked about for a couple of days, but now it's in the news. It's pretty much confirmed. Russia is sending a fleet. They've already sailed, from the best that I can tell. They're sending a fleet of warships to the Caribbean. There's a nuclear submarine, Russian nuclear submarine, that's going to be now, of course, subs, there's probably more than just the one, but there's definitely the one that will be docking just in Cuba, about 80 miles off coast of the United States. I said nuclear, I meant nuclear capable, like weaponry, not nuclear driven, because someone's going to correct me on that. And then just other battleships, warships, whatever. They're going to be down in Venezuela, all throughout the Caribbean. And they're doing some training. Now, I talked about this a little bit yesterday. Just recently, they were also on the West Coast, just off the coast of California, doing training also. Again, for those of you that grew up during the Cold War era, you know the significance of that. That's crazy. That Russia, that is going to be that close to the United States. I mean, when I was a child, that would have been World War III right then and there. I know relationships change and things change, but that's the point. Things have changed. And we have, right or wrong, I'm not here to debate that. If you've watched any of my content for any length of time, you've probably got a good idea. I'm not pro-Russia. I'm not pro-Ukraine. I'm not pro-NATO. I'm not pro-Taiwan. I'm not even really pro-Israel, to the sense that I'm pro here, America, me, family, community. If as long as we're taken care of first, then we'll worry about everyone else. And until that happens, I'm not really worried about everybody else. You can call me all kinds of names. I get called those names and worse all the time. It's not a big deal to me. But yeah, Russia, right off the coast of the United States. Also, BRICS announced that they plan to have their new gold-backed currency fully implemented in about 2.5 years or so, 2 to 2.5 years. So that could be a timeline right there. With the election coming up, who knows what's going to happen there? And that 2.5 years, is that an exact number? Could that be pushed up more? I don't know, but BRICS coming up with their new global currency, gold-backed, will definitely be another reason for the West to go to war against them, and probably sooner than later, to prevent that. So are we in the neighborhood of World War III yet again? Is it more so than it has been in the past? I know that we've all visited this moment before in the last few years, where we're on the precipice of World War III. And then things kind of cool off and back down, and we forget about it. I'm not here to predict and to tell you it's going to be within this timeline. I'm here to tell you that the odds of some type of conflict, they may never, ever, probably will never call it World War III, or even a global war, but the odds of the United States being involved directly with China and Russia are ever increasing. I mean, we've, by technicality, really have already been involved in a World War III scenario, but you know what I'm talking about. Kinetic, full-on missiles, bombs, troops, all that kind of stuff. I know a lot of you are going to say, oh, well, we'll stomp them into the ground. I don't know that that's the case. Russia now has a few years of experience of war, and the vast majority of American soldiers do not have that. In fact, there was something online a week or so ago of Ukraine. This was coming from like their NCOs, their Ukraine sergeants and stuff, and they were displeased at the American advisors over there. So as you all know, we've been sending since the beginning American advisors to go over there and help train their troops. And some of these are special operations guys. Well, anyways, the Ukrainian NCOs are been complaining about the American advisors coming over to train their troops because they're saying that their training is worthless, because all of these people coming from America over to train Ukrainian troops, they don't have any battlefield experience, whereas Ukraine, the ones that survived thus far, has a lot of battlefield experience. And they're saying that the tactics that they're trying to teach the Ukrainian army, they can tell they're not going to do anything. They're worthless. We've also depleted a lot of our ammunitions, our big and small munitions, because we've been sending them to Ukraine and we've been sending them to Taiwan. So if a war happens, are you 100% confident that the United States could really handle a two-front war with Russia and China? And I know China, they don't have any battlefield experience. Their equipment isn't nearly as good as ours. There's all kinds of stories and rumors about Chinese troops tuck-tail and running, but they have a lot. They have a lot, and they can outproduce us any day of the week. And that's how we won World War II. So don't just discount the Chinese. Then, of course, there's the millions of people that's come into this country illegally. And by the most conservative estimates, at least probably a few 100,000 people that's come into this country illegally over the last few years that have serious intent to do harm. The smallest, most conservative number I've seen is somewhere in the neighborhood of 50,000 Chinese troops. But I've seen that number well into the 100,000 also. So when you put all that together, Russia's off our east coast, Russia's off our west coast, China is threatening to, do bad things to us if we continue to ship things to Taiwan and talk to them. And Russia is kind of doing the same thing because we're allowing Ukraine to use our weapons on them directly. How much longer is it till we see a conflict? I don't know, but I'm telling you, we should be prepared for this because I think it is heating up. This whole Russian Navy thing, that's something to kind of pay attention to. I'm not saying that it would happen, but if something were to go south, it wouldn't take very much for them to hit several targets here in the United States. It's possible, I don't know. It's possible they could even hit DC from down in Cuba, depending on what's on board these ships. American media seems to be completely oblivious to it. And maybe it is nothing, but it's certainly, I think, well worth paying attention to. And getting ready even more. We've got all this stuff going on. We got pandemics and gold and silver skyrocketing again, and the dollar's down, and the economy's down, and the job market's down, and illegals pouring into this country, and we got crazy people in the White House, and fights and wanting jail former presidents, and well, it's just an all-around crazy, chaotic collapse that we're experiencing. They're trying to sell this collapse as it's normal. It's the new normal. It's okay. Don't worry. We've got this under control. We hear that from the White House spokesperson all the time, if you've ever listened to her. It's the most ridiculous lies I've ever heard in my life. Oh no, the economy's good. People are way better off than before. The president's the smartest man ever, and he's able to run circles around all of us, and we can't keep... it's insane, the stuff that they talk about. That's for a purpose, folks. They want you to believe that it's done, so that when they bring it down, you're not as in shock to it. And maybe that's okay. But what isn't okay is you not getting ready. We have to be preparing for this. The things that's going to happen, when all these things that are moving towards being fully implemented, when they are done, when they're happening, when our dollar collapses, when the inflation goes up much further, when the election chaos happens in November, when World War III starts, when the illegals come across start doing their little terrorist attacks, when these things start happening, people in the streets are going to go nuts. They're going to go crazy, and we have to be prepared for that. You need to be getting your houses in order, folks. Stocking up, training up, preparing, praying, doing all those things. This is not the time to be sitting around. It's not the time to be waiting for something to happen or ignoring what is happening. It's the time to be getting ready. You should be trying to figure out in your daily life, what can you do that day to prepare yourself just a little bit more. It should become just a normal habit that you're doing now, not something that you work on preparedness when you have time. It should be a very high priority in your life. You need to get your houses in order and prepare yourselves mentally, physically, and spiritually. Thanks for watching. Catch you in the next video.